Hello. Welcome to Quarantine 11, Quarantine Day 11. And I just got word that the president of Peru just announced that we are now having 13 more days of quarantine. He is keeping the quarantine going and the borders closed until at least April 12th. So, there you go. What about you? How's your quarantine situation in your country, wherever you are? Have you gotten any word if it's going to be extended, or are you going to phase it out or stop it altogether? Curious to know. I wonder what's going on here that they're keeping it closed. They must know something's going on. But I also have to say, I think he's done a really good job. He really shut this place down really fast and stopped all flights in and out when they still had a very few cases. And in a place that doesn't have the greatest health system in the world, that's probably a really good idea. So I've been thinking a lot about quinine, as one does in quarantine. Quinine is an ingredient in tonic water. It's why those of you who hate tonic water hate it. I love it. I love quinine and I love tonic water. There's a tonic water in Africa made by Schweppes called Indian tonic water. And it's in Europe too. And it's so much stronger than the stuff we have in the United States. I've done taste tests with Canada Dry and even Schweppes, and it's just not, ours is too sweet. They put too much sugar in it. This has a really strong quinine taste. I wish I could get that. I just drink it constantly. And that is, of course, it's used for malaria. It was used for malaria. For a long time, it was the only real treatment. And the British in India just couldn't stand it alone. So they mixed it with gin and some sugar and lime and made gin and tonics. That's the origin of that, is an anti-malarial. One of the interesting things too about quinine is it comes from a tree bark called cinchona tree. And where are cinchona trees from? Peru. They're from other places in the world, but this is where really they first discovered it. I read something that the governor of Lima, Peru, the Spanish colonial governor or whatever he was, his wife, and he was the Count of Cinchona or Chinchona. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And she had malaria, and they used this Inca remedy for fevers, and it cured her. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a good story. Anyway, so there's a big supply of that here. I was just listening to a podcast that kind of went down a rabbit hole as far as what are we gonna do? But the thought was this chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine. If one of the main ingredients or one of the base ingredients, even though I think it's all synthesized, so this probably has nothing to do with the tree, but if one of those ingredients is the bark and the quinine in the cinchona tree, that the United States should send military down to make sure that the Peruvians do not sell it to countries outside of our hemisphere. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So if any Peruvians are watching this, don't worry, the United States military is not going to be offshore with our destroyers. Anyway, it's all interesting. I'm extremely hopeful about this drug therapy. Who knows, but it's for sure worth a try. And if it does work, I think once again we're going to have quinine to thank in a roundabout way. But it's one of those things that comes from the tropics, like bamboo and all the plants from the Amazon that we have found great benefit from. And so that's yet another reason why we need to be protecting these places like the Amazon, the Peruvian Amazon, the Brazilian Amazon, the Andes. I think the cinchona tree grows up in the Andes. And of course the Incas knew about it long before Europeans brought malaria to the New World, another gift. So the Peruvians, the Incas used it, I think, to reduce, I think they call it fever tree because they knew it would reduce fevers. So, okay, so there's your little item of interest for day 11 of quarantine, a mini lecture on the benefits of quinine. My friend Julia in Africa, I drive her absolutely crazy because when she comes to the States, I make her take a 6-pack or 2 6-packs of Indian tonic water for me, and I have one a month. Oh, one last, I think some of you might have seen this. I found some in Paris, and I took a whole 6-pack back, and I was just treasuring it. I was gonna wait until, like, maybe for quarantine or something, when it would be a good time to break into my stash. And when I finally did, it was completely empty. Something, I don't know whether it was the plane or what, but I developed a leak, and every damn one of those cans had not been opened, but they were mysteriously empty. So I had an entirely empty 6-pack of Indian tonic water, my non-existent Indian tonic water. So, all right, everybody, have a fine day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Look at, I'm getting tan, huh? That's my effort to get vitamin D, because I know vitamin D is good. Oh, yeah. One last little item of interest. Last night, I was so happy because there's no mosquitoes right now at this time of year, which would be just ugh. And last night I get the flashlight from the security guard, and JT, hey, mosquitoes, meaning there are mosquitoes. And I thought, nah. And this morning I woke up with several mosquito bites. And I can't stand a mosquito net, and I hate sleeping with mosquito repellent. So I'm gonna hold off as long as I can, and let's just hope those things don't come around, because this is already, to have that on top of it. So anyway, if that's what happens, that's what happens. It's all gonna work out. It's all gonna work out. See you tomorrow.